Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? And welcome back to another episode on the South Stand View. Just before we get into this, please make sure that you are. What is Isaac doing there? Make sure that you're liking, commenting, and subscribing as always,
Look like
and
I
hitting
got
the
a bug eyed there.
notification bell. Yeah, well, yeah, you do. To be fair, but if you don't hit the notification bell, Isaac, what does that make you?
Chris Wilder's scrotum.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go from there. As you can see in the top right, we are joined by Paul from the Leeds Therapy. Paul, how are we?
Yay!
Hey,
I'm
Paul,
good.
you all right?
I'm good. I'm knackered after last night. I can't keep doing this every couple of weeks or every week. I'm 44 years old, and to be honest with you, this morning I actually looked like Chris Wilder's scrotum when I got out of bed.
I like it, mate.
I take it you went to the game then, Paul?
No, I didn't go to the game. It just the adrenaline of afterwards. You just sat. I'm getting out all of the bookmarks. I'm getting out everything else, and then I'm looking at tweets and I'm looking at people going, "Oh, fuck off, you dickhead," and then responding to what they're saying and stuff. And like somebody put a thing up about Firpo and putting Raksaki on to back pocket Firpo for the night, and I'm just like, you really are dumb. You're dumb.
Yeah,
you don't get it. So yeah.
Right. Well, Isaac's decided to drop out. He wasn't live from his attic there. By the way, he was in a car somewhere, but hopefully he'll be able to join us at some point. But Mike, how are we?
I'm good. A little bit like Paul, to be honest. Our kind of when there's a big win like that for us, the adrenaline sets in, especially if it's a late night game, and I'm basically on my phone scrolling till the early hours, and that was me last night as well. Rewatching goals, replying to Sheffield United fans, just throwing it in the faces. It's just an endless cycle. Next thing I looked at my phone and it was like 2 a.m, and then I'm up at 6.
It's quite a contrast, isn't it? Because if it had been the other way around, I think I'd have just turned my phone off and just never looked at it again. But yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm shattered from last night. I was saying off air to Paul that I drive for work. I'm a driver. I drive all day, so I had to kind of call it quits at one point last night because I thought if I don't stop now, then I'll just be up all night and I'll be crashing up motorway or something today. But no, it was all good. But I'm sure everyone in here is the same. You know, I'm still on a high from last night. I still can't quite get over that it's happened 2 games in a row. But I thought we'd start just by obviously discussing pre-game. Obviously, the lineup comes out. Ethan Ampadu is not in the squad.
Yeah.
At that point, Paul, how concerned are you at that point?
Concerned because obviously there was rumours swirling around, weren't there, with regards to his injury and what was going on, and you just think, oh Christ, and you worry for him and worry, well, is he aggravated the injury that he got earlier on in the season, and then as it turns out, it's the other knee that he's done. So I'm going to say, luckily, it's only cartilage, but I will be amazed if he's back before the end of this season. But it does put a bit of a dampener on the start of the game, but we have the squad to deal with it, thankfully, which is the positive that we've got. But yeah, it was a bummer when you hear it, because you feel for him on a human level, don't you? And he's our captain and he's a good leader, and in fairness, I think if he starts last night, we don't get bullied in the midfield like we did for the first sort of 25 minutes. So yeah. Boy still pulled it out, but yeah, I feel for him. I genuinely do. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's a relatively problematic free operation that he has to have.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think if he had started, I think Leeds would have started the game a lot better. But Mike, obviously, I mean, Ethan Ampadu, after his previous injury, he did come back quicker than expected, which in my eyes, I'm hoping, although I don't want to see him rushed back, at least he has got form in terms of coming back earlier. So do you agree with Paul? Do you think he'll be out for the season, or are you hoping that he can show that?
Yeah. Well, it's quite early, isn't it? To nothing's come out from the club as it is yet in terms of how long he's going to be out for. There were, as you said, Paul, there were murmurings, weren't there, on Twitter yesterday. I got a text from a friend basically saying that he's been seen in the Spire private hospital in Roundhay in Leeds, and he could be out for the system. So the rumour mill it started well before the game, didn't it? But we do have I guess we do have cover in the midfield area, but I think my concern, as I mentioned last night, Charlie, on the live, is yes, we have that cover in the centre midfield, but for me, it's at centre back that concerns me a little bit now, because I think if Rodon or Pascal get injured, usually Ampadu can fit in there, and then we put somebody in midfield. But now I guess it kind of leaves us short in that department as well, because Wobo doesn't fill me with too much confidence of playing centre back, and then who's next? Have we got Debayo, Gilavogi? I must admit it concerns me a little bit that he's going to be out for so long and we don't have defensive cover. I'm not bothered about midfield, because I know that we can move players around and fill that void. But a little bit concerned, if I'm being honest.
I have seen shouts that potentially Sam Byram could move into centre back, but then you are just putting square pegs in round holes. I mean, Paul, do you think that could be an option, maybe Sam Byram, if he doesn't trust the likes of Debayo?
I think so. I think he likes Debayo, but I don't think he trusts Debayo enough at the business end of the season, like it is, to put him to put him on the chopping block, basically, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be baptism of fire. Whereas Byram's kind of used to it. Obviously, Gilavogi's an option to go there if needed, but we all saw what happened in the FA Cup, and
keep him away.
Yeah,
I think it takes him about half an hour for his legs to wake up in a game, doesn't it? So I'm not too.
They're so long, his legs. It takes just to pump the blood around and get him going and everything. So,
but obviously, as we've said, obviously Ampadu out of the squad, which meant that Gruev started alongside Tanaka. Now, I know it's all hindsight now, isn't it? And Paul, I will just say there is an ongoing thing that apparently I've got an agenda against Ilya Gruev. I don't.
Paul is Gruev's biggest fan. He just doesn't know it yet, basically.
I'm really not, but I must admit, like I said to you off air, mate, I do see that there are games when a player like Gruev is needed, just a safer pair of hands in the middle. But I think back to the home game against Sheffield United when it was Rothwell and Tanaka, and we really took it to him that night and we dominated the midfield. I think Gruev, this sounds harsh saying it, but I think he kind of hid a little bit in that first half. And I think they did have the better of that midfield, especially in the first half hour, mate. Thoughts?
We got bullied in the first half an hour. Nobody covered themselves in glory.
No.
What Sheffield United did was that they came out and they wanted to get up in our faces pretty quickly. They wanted to put the pressure on Mes, which worked. I think their game plan was to score 2 goals and then to sit on it. That's kind of how I felt what they were looking to do. Yeah. Thankfully, we started to get a grip on it as the half wore on. But yeah, I mean, don't forget Gruev clears one off the line when Meslier flaps at it, so that's important. There's but he was misplacing passes in the first half, but then it's a difficult one because nobody covered themselves in glory pretty much for the first kind of 30 minutes or so. I like Gruev quite considerably. I like what he brings to the table. My nickname for him is Go Gadget Legs, just purely because he can make tackles out of nowhere sometimes. And we spoke offline. I feel like it's going to be away from home. It'll be him and Tanaka, and at home it'll be Rothwell and Tanaka. That's how I feel that Farker will go. So, whilst he didn't shine massively last night, I don't think it was as horrible as what maybe, and I don't mean you, but some people thought he was. Some people thought he was last night.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't think he was terrible. I just think in terms of progressing the ball up the pitch and just someone to pick the ball up and just drive at the Sheffield United midfield and their defence. I just think Rothwell does that a lot better and is a lot more progressive. But like I said off air, and I'll say it now, against certain teams and certain atmospheres, like away games, like we've said, I think Gruev is a safer pair of hands, and I can understand why he put him in there last night. But it was quite evident, Mike, wasn't it? Within the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, it just didn't work, did it?
No, and I wouldn't even say that that's down to Gruev alone. I don't think as well. I think just the way the game was. I think just the way the game was going. I think there were in that, especially in that first half an hour, there were many times where they just broke through our midfield and there was nobody there, or we were behind them chasing. There were spaces all over the pitch. So I don't think that can be attributed just to Gruev. I just think they put that much pressure on us in that first half an hour. We were a little bit out of sorts and it took us a while to get us bearings, I think, which we did after 30 minutes. But yeah, I think over the past few games, there's been a trend now, hasn't there, of Farke playing Gruev in the away games and then him sitting out the home games. And I won't be surprised if that continues probably for the rest of the season now, because, I mean, as it's like his insurance policy, really, isn't it? He's neat, he's tidy, he don't give the ball away too much. Apart from the last two games, I thought he hasn't covered himself in glory, I don't think, in the past two games. But before that, he's played really well, in my opinion. You know, keeping it simple, giving the ball, not losing the ball. So I hope his performances improve over the next few games. But before the Sunderland game, I thought he put a run of some good performances together. So hopefully he can get back to that form.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'd like him just to learn to kick a corner ball off of the field.
Oh God, they just need to take him off him, don't they, Paul? I just think it's my pet hate is that I think a professional footballer to take a free kick or a corner from a standing position where there's no one closing you down, there's no excuse not.
Especially that Sunderland game last week. I mean,
yeah, the Sunderland one were extremely poor. His set pieces, so I don't think they're his forte at the moment. So I'd be tempted just to take him off him altogether.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think I would as well, mate. But someone else that didn't have the best of starts was Meslier. Now, I'm not really blaming him that much for the goal. I was at the time, but I think the more that I've seen it, I can sympathise with him for the goal, because I think there was a lot that could have been done prior to that ball coming in to avoid that entirely. But as Paul said, I think off air and at the start, they had a clear plan to try and frustrate Meslier in goal and to get tight to him from the long throws, from the set pieces. And to be fair to them, it worked, because he looked really shaky in that opening half an hour. Fair play to him, he did sort himself out and he did get better as it went on. But especially after they scored as well, Paul, I was thinking, is this going to be another one of them games from Meslier? But he did calm it down and he did get better, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did, and you have to give him credit for that. That's a lot of mentality, and I think a lot of people
in a big game as well.
In a massive game, I think people behind the scenes as well have been working on that side of things, because I think he can be mildly fragile at times. But then, obviously, the other side of it is as well, and you touched on it, Charlie, is how people were playing around him. There was so much that could have happened leading up to the goal.
Yeah.
To avoid it. Nobody was, and again, that's where you have to give Sheffield United some credit in terms of what they did, because they put it on us in the first 20-25 minutes, and we didn't know how to deal with it. We weren't expecting it. We couldn't cope with it as well as what we would have done. We have had in the past a tendency to allow ourselves to get bullied a little bit. So not so much recently, but last night, I just think it was a case of we just got bullied for 20-25 minutes. They stuck it on. I mean, they were doing everything. They were fouling Meslier. They were leaning on him. They were pulling him down. They were doing all sorts of stuff that they shouldn't be doing, that the ref wasn't picking up as well. They were doing the dark arts very well.
Yeah.
And worked. It worked for a bit, but yeah, he sorted himself out. He made some strong saves after that. Caught the ball well, commanded it well, and that was good to see that he managed to turn it around. And yeah, I have an issue at the moment with a certain quarter of our fans that come out of the woodwork as soon as we concede a goal. It's almost like, how dare somebody score against us, or it's like, it's the forthcoming of the apocalyptic horseman, or whatever you want to call it. But it's just like, have you never watched us play before? Have you never? And it's just like, do you not have any belief or faith in this squad that they can turn it around? Yes, we've not played fantastic, but I saw Stack Fark. I saw this is why we needed to buy players in January, regardless of if you think we did or we didn't. And then get this person out of my club. I hate him. All of that kind of stuff. It's just like, ugh. Here we go.
It's not needed. It's not needed as the game's happening, is it? Like, at least let the game finish, and then you can evaluate it however you want.
Listen, people can have opinions. People can say what they want. I'm always a staunch believer in being able to criticise a player when a player's not playing very well or a player's done something wrong, but be constructive. You can be critical. It's absolutely fine. It's when it starts to get personal that I start. It's not needed. It's not needed. You can be critical, and I've been critical of Meslier, and I'll give him his flowers when he does really, really well. The thing that everybody forgets about the first goal, it was a ridiculous save onto the crossbar that he managed to pull off, but it was just a whole catalogue of errors. We were all in a bit of a tizzy at that point as a team, and they scored.
Well, how on earth did Tyrese Campbell not score that header anyway? It was about a yard out.
Because then he had the cheek to run away like he
and try and claim
it. No, behave yourself.
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, Paul briefly alluded to it there, Mike, about them obviously doing the dark arts quite well, which made me think then about the referee performance. I didn't think he were great, Mike, especially in that first half. He was letting a lot go for them, I think, wasn't he? I mean, just talk to me about him.
Yeah. I thought the referee had a really poor game, to be fair. I thought he was just really inconsistent with his decisions. I think there were times where he let things go where he shouldn't let things go, and then he stopped play when he should have let it go. I just thought he completely lost kind of the flow of the game quite early on as well. And, there were specific, the yellow card for Tanaka. I think it was never a yellow card. You can see that Tanaka, his momentum takes him, and he kind of plants 4 feet into the ground and pulls back. So he's not, carrying forward into the play. And you can see that he tries to pull out there, and he doesn't make any contact with him at all. So that definitely wasn't a yellow. I think this might be a little bit biased with me being a Leeds fan, but I thought we should have had a penalty with the handball, because when you look at that, if it's not given, usually in them instances, when it's not a penalty, they kind of stood stationary with their hands behind the side. But I can't remember which player it was for Sheffield United, but he kind of turned side on and his hands were kind of moved to the side. So for me, that's a penalty. It might be a little bit harsh, but you see them given quite a lot. And I think if it had gone to VAR, which we don't have, probably thankfully that we don't have, because I'm not a big fan of it, but if that had gone to VAR, I think it could have been given a penalty. I don't know what you think about that, Charlie, if you'd give a penalty for that.
I think it's one of them where it's the type where I think you've seen them given and you've seen them not. And because the refs, whether it's in the Premier League or in the Championship, they are inconsistent at the minute. So, again, if it had been given, I'd have definitely took it, obviously. But at the same time, I can have a look at it and think, I think it's a subjective one. And I think he's looked at it and he's thought, there's probably not enough in it from the angle that he had, maybe. I'll
be perfectly honest with you. I wanted that penalty, but if it had been given against us, I'd have said totally opposite.
Exactly. I mean, Paul, did you think that were a penalty?
It was subjective. You want it, but you hate it if it's given against you.
Yeah,
I was more concerned at the fact that Hamer wasn't sent off when he should have been.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that.
Yeah, but he could have been booked 3 times, and you talk about the Tanaka yellow card, which was obviously their player grazing Tanaka's arse cheek. It was just it's my biggest bugbear in this league is just the inconsistency or just non-committal of referees to referee a game properly.
Yeah.
You just want it to see it's fair for everybody, fair for both teams. That's what you want, and unfortunately, in some cases, it's. There isn't an agenda against us. I'm not going to go down conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat kind of brigade, but you just look at it and go, how are you allowed to referee the following week? I don't understand how that's a thing. So, yeah, I wasn't overly pleased, but luckily we took it out of the ref's hands, which is the main thing.
Exactly. I think we've had some poor referees this season, to be fair. There've been some big decisions, I think, that have not gone our way in terms of, I think we're at the Coventry game where there were the knee-high tackle on Bogle that should have been a straight red. Didn't even give a yellow card for it. I think we've had a fair few of them decisions that have gone against us this season, and we've not had many that have kind of gone in our favour. So, yeah, totally echo what you say, Paul. I think there's a massive issue of inconsistency with referees in the Championship, and I think it needs to be looked at, but it won't be. So pointless conversation, I guess, in terms of getting them to look at stuff. But they won't do that.
No, they definitely won't. But as you say, it happens every week, and it'll just continue to do so. I don't even think it's just for us. I think there's a lot of teams that could be having this conversation now as well, to be fair. But I mean, as we've already discussed, obviously, Sheffield United did have a good opening half an hour. I thought they were the better team in that first half. But I was saying to Paul off air, Mike, there is a certain player that apparently he was the best player on the pitch I've seen. He was commanding the midfield. He had Tanaka nullified. Obviously, I'm speaking about Vinny Souza. Now, again, a decent player, to be fair to him. And I thought, all jokes aside, I did think he was probably their best player on the night. And yeah, in the opening half an hour, he did play well. But to say that he nullified Tanaka is a load of rubbish, because he didn't. And I just think I saw one tweet earlier, and it said the fact that Vinny Souza was on the losing side last night is a crime against football or something like that. And I just thought,
who said that? Wilder.
Well, yeah, but I just thought, what planet are you on? Like, a player can still play well and deserve to be on the losing side. Like, but I mean, Mike. I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm guessing you don't agree with that.
No, don't agree with it whatsoever. I think he had a good. God, I say he had a good half hour, like the rest of the team did. To be honest, I think he were putting a foot in. He were getting physical. I mean, he did win a few physical battles with Tanaka and Gruev, but apart from once the game swayed in our favour, he was nowhere to be seen. I think he went missing for most of the game after that first half hour. So I think the Sheffield United fans have got a little bit carried away, as they have done all season. I think with Vinny Souza, I think there's been a lot of talk of him being the best centre midfielder in the league, and I don't even think he's in the top 5 in my opinion. No. He's had a half decent season, but there's much better players in there, and also it was absolutely shocking in the Premiership as well last season when I watched a few games. He was really, really poor. I think a lot of the Sheffield United squad, well, but him in particular, were very poor in the Premier League.
They kept saying that on Sky last night, that he wasn't really a favourite of theirs last season, but he now is, just because he's in Championship. But
yeah, I think he's found his level, but he's still not as good as they make him out to be.
No, I mean, Paul, anything to add on that, mate? What do you think?
He played a really, really good 25-yard pass in the second half that I remember to Brendan Diaz, who I think is, I don't get the hype around him, but that's just a personal opinion.
I agree with you, Paul.
I'm the same, yeah.
And yeah, the midfield battle for the first 30-35 minutes, they were winning it on that one. But if you look at, I'm just looking on FootMob, but if you look at the momentum graph, And it's weird because some people don't quite grasp the concept of what a momentum graph is when, depending on where you see how it works. So you've got like the flat line and then obviously the peaks and troughs, but how high the peak goes is dictating how far into the opposition's half you've gone.
Yeah.
So as you're looking at like the momentum graph, we dominated them.
We did.
Yeah. We really did. And
I don't mean dominate them in the sense of we were all over them, but we were just better in terms of progressing the ball a little bit better. We were just overall better than them. The archetypal game of two halves, they had an XG of 1 point something other in the first half. Ours was 0.18, and then in the second, 0.25, and then in the second half, theirs was 0.03, and ours was 1.14. So that just tells you how we managed to switch up the game and just rescue it back a little bit. And the three biggest chances that we had in the match, we score. So Vinny Souza wasn't there to stop any of those. So
no, he went on to Tanaka for that second goal, wasn't he? So
no.
Just to talk about. Go on, sorry, Charlie, you go.
No. I was just going to say I think it was Hamer that lost Tanaka at the back post for his goal. So yeah. Go on anyway, mate.
Just to talk about I think you mentioned, Paul, a game of two halves. And do you think there was I know you mentioned earlier on that their plan were potentially to get 2 goals and sit back, but do you think as the game kind of went on into the second half, do you think that was the plan to just defend a 1-goal lead because we were on them so much? And if so, do you think that were quite naive of them to do so? Because I think that's what Sunderland did a little bit in their game. Or do you think that's just how kind of the way the game panned out for them, really, because we was on them, as we were all over them in that second half?
I think they were going for the second goal, and I think that's what Wilder was trying to do. And the biggest difference between us and Sheffield United is just in terms of fitness levels and what we can do over 90 minutes and what they can do over 90 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
So they started to get tired and it started to come off a little bit. I think once we scored our goal and we bring it back to 1-1, Wilder then is trying to not lose the game. So the concern then becomes for them not to lose the game. And then the concern for that is that they then start to sit deeper. And then we know how good we are at applying pressure, particularly over the last 5 games, and being able to squeeze a team quite drastically and being able to just put them under so much pressure. And you look at it when the second goal goes in, within the space of less than a minute, we've scored the third. Now, normally you go, Dan James, get yourself down into the corner, mess around with it, take the mickey a little bit. Nope, we're going to give it to Perot, and Perot's going to absolutely rocket it into the goal. But that's just the momentum that we play, and like I said, the fitness levels that we have. I don't think anybody can match us over 90 minutes in terms of being able to hold fitness levels and concentrations. What you'll find with a lot of teams is they're concentrating on the defending side of stuff so much that it tires them out, but they then sit progressively deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And now, because I almost feel like we're playing a little bit differently now. And it's a typical Farker team, if you like, where at the start of the season, it's just chipping away, getting points. Then it's almost like the brakes seem to come off as the season wears on, because all of a sudden everybody kind of knows what they're doing. But I genuinely think it was just more of a case of they got tired, and they got really tired as the game wore on. And bringing on Joseph for Aronson and dropping Peru down was actually quite clever, because as much as Joseph's not done what we expected him to do this season, him moving left to right and moving players around, that then gives Peru the space to run into, because instantly when Joseph comes on, Peru's then got the space to go and do some extra bits and pieces, and it gives them a different type of worry and concern that they have to think about it. I mean, you just look at the players that we've got to bring on. We take off Solomon, we bring on Nonto, who had a decent game, a decent little bit for when he came on. Was unlucky
that
with
strike was amazing, wasn't it? I was just, as soon as that left his foot, I thought this could be going in. It was a cracking save, to be honest. But
I think it was that. I think it was that shot that led to the corner.
Yes,
the corner, wasn't it? For
Tanaka's
goal.
Yeah.
So, like it's just that sustained pressure that we can push onto people is just good. And if a team we're playing against isn't on their A game and they get tired, we can just up the work levels a little bit more, and invariably we will get an opportunity to score a goal. Our biggest problem has been being profligate in front of goal and not being able to finish chances. The 3 big chances that we had last night, we score all of them. So that's been the difference, particularly over the last 5 games in particular, but it definitely showed last night.
I think so as well, Paul. I think you mentioned about how we pinned the teams back. I think over the last few games, and I think it's evolved as well as the season's gone. I think as wing backs play a massive part in that. I think how high Firpo and Bogle get up the pitch, that in itself pushes them back, and then it allows the midfield, it allows the strikers to push forward. And I think it's like you touched on, I think we're evolving as we go along in this season. And I think that system there, in terms of pinning them back with the fullbacks, I think that's kind of evolved as the season's gone on as well. And I think we're lucky to have 2 of the best fullbacks in the league to do that.
Yeah, we all have that over. We have that over under, don't we? Of how many positions Firpo's going to play in the game when he's playing.
Yeah.
So I mean, he came in like a absolutely seasoned number 9 last night for that header, and I think they gave the assist to Strauch as well, didn't they, last night? But it was actually Firpo's header. If you watch the slow-mo from the side of the goal, it's Firpo's header that spins out to Tanaka before he actually puts it in.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was Strauch.
I did as well.
Just on the first goal, like you just said there, Paul, I think if that had been someone like Lewandowski or Harry Kane, I think they'd have been waxing lyrical about that. But I think for me, it was just the pure determination that he showed to get on the end of that cross. Yep. And like you say, he took it like a seasoned pro. It's not many, you don't often see wing backs getting them sort of positions and put them sort of chances away. So, yeah, beautiful goal.
Yeah, it was proper header.
I mean, it did take me like a minute to realise that it actually is Firpo that has scored that first goal, because I was thinking, what is he doing in the box, like leaping up like that? But again, as you've said, I think the fact that we do play with the fullback so high, I just think teams just can't deal with it. I think if they'd have chose to sit deep, I think would have just got at them. But if they obviously work their way up the pitch, then they're leaving space in behind for our wingers and wing backs to get forward then. So it's like, how do you set up against this team? But obviously, I was just going to get on to the goals, actually. And obviously, that Firpo one was a beauty, obviously. But the Tanaka goal, I mean, as we've said, the non-toe strike, which led to that corner, I mean, it was a cracking save from Cooper, in fairness to him. But I was so happy that it was Tanaka. Just so happy that it was Tanaka, because he scored that beauty at Hull. And everyone kind of forgets it a bit because of what happened after that in that game.
Yeah.
And because this was obviously, it proved to be the winner in like such a, the biggest game of the season by a country mile. And as Paul's just said, it was Firpo that flicked it on. I thought it was Strauch. I think we all did in first glance. Yeah. But Mike, I mean, just what a moment for Tanaka. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better person for me.
Yeah, just brilliant. It were. I think I've watched this goal. I've watched it a lot of times.
100 times today.
Yeah, especially last night when I were up until 2 morning watching everything. And for me, I want your opinions on this, guys, I think, as well. To me, it looks like he's very aware of who's on the line and where the defenders are, and he caresses that over the defender.
It's a smart header. It's a very smart header.
It's such a smart finish as well, in such a pivotal time of the game, with so many players around him, that he has that presence of mind and that calmness to kind of just cushion the header of the defender. So I think my question I was going to ask to you guys is, do you think that were intentionally what he did, or do you just think that's how the ball just came off his head? But I think you do associate calmness and those kind of attributes to Tanaka, don't you? So yeah, I thought it were a brilliant goal just to lift it over the defender.
100% intentional. 100% intentional.
Yeah. I'm a bit I think it could be a bit of both. I think maybe he's just instinctively just done that, but then, like you say, I think it was it CallumO'Hare on the line who tried to, yeah. So again, he isn't the tallest of players, is he? So the fact that he managed to loop it over him like that, I mean, like you say, just a brilliant finish in it, Paul. It was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's the way he doesn't. It's hard to describe it. It's almost like he heads it like that.
It's like he puts spin on it as well, doesn't
it?
Exactly,
yeah.
It's the way it does this to go into the goal. So it was a really, really nice thing to see. Just a really good headed goal. Just fantastic.
And then if you lot were like me in that moment, who I was running about the living room, I was probably waking up the neighbours. The dog was having a panic attack. I think he thought someone were burgling the house. And I literally just got my ass back on the sofa. And then I look up and there's Joe Perreault on the edge of the box. And I was just about to shout, "No, don't shoot from there." And then he let rip. And I mean, I think context needs to be applied. Like, we just scored a winning goal, essentially, a big game. And as Paul said, I think most other teams, if Dan James has that ball on the right hand side, they think, just get to the corner flag, just see it out. But the fact that he had the presence of mind and the calmness just to bring the ball down, adjust himself, sees Perreault, and the fact that Perreault had the confidence to take that shot on in that moment in the game. I mean, I'll swear I don't care. It was an absolute thunder bastard. What a goal!
Yeah, definitely a thunder bastard.
The thing
brilliant goal, Paul.
Yeah, incredible. The thing with Perreault is that he's inevitable. He's absolutely inevitable, and he's clinical in front of goal as well. And I think from a really, really clever perspective, he uses the defender in front of him when he takes the shot. So the keeper is absolutely unsighted. So when he sees it to go and dive for it, the ball's already past him because he's hit it that hard. And I'll tell you what was funny as well, is when you see them celebrating and Perreault stood like that, Rodon runs up behind him.
I've spotted this, yeah.
Jumps on him, turns to the Sheffield fans and goes, "Fuck off. Fuck off."
Seen that, Mike? Have you seen it?
I've not seen it.
You need to see it.
You know what? I've watched that goal and kind of his celebration afterwards, where he's kind of shrugging his shoulders. So I'm surprised I've missed that, but I'll watch that.
You need to watch it till the end when they're all around him and Rodon comes over and he goes, "Fuck."
It's just brilliant. It's
absolutely
it
is.
And then we had that moment, didn't we, where somebody's dad decided to come onto the pitch to offer everybody out, and the miracle wall got in the miracle invisible wall got in the way of him.
Yeah,
it was near the dugout, wasn't it? Was it near the dugouts?
Yeah.
Didn't he get pinned? Didn't he get kind of pinned to the floor at one point as well? I think.
He got ejected from the ground.
Yeah, rightly so.
Whoever the security guy, it was a Leeds United security guy, wasn't it, that pushed him down and held him down? But it was just funny. That's somebody's dad. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's never going to be able to get into Bramall Lane again. Oh, such a shame.
That could be a good thing, to be fair.
Yeah, I know,
that could be a good thing. But
to be fair, you can't get into Bramall Lane. I think they were half the stadium anyway when that third goal went in. They were
like a COVID match. It was like a COVID match.
It was.
They were leaving in their droves, weren't they? As soon as that third goal went in, it was just like you say, the COVID match.
Has anyone else seen that tweet from that Sheffield United account where they say that don't get what the 72 minute silence was in the away end, but fair play or something. Yeah. Like when that second goal went in, you all left that ground like literally in a split second. It was like you were partying at Red Sea. They all
because somebody quote tweeted it and they said, "What was with the 89th minute fire drill? What happened there?" But that's what you want. You want banter. You want that little bit of shithousery. You want that good-natured. Just like I said, it's just I enjoy that bit of it. It's fun. You got
that back and forth.
You bookmark some tweets and have a go.
Yeah, some of the takes that I've seen from them are just ridiculous. I mean, they've literally, Mike, had meltdowns. Literally.
We're gonna have some fun on them. Marching on Meltdowns.
I don't know if you know, Paul, but we do a show called Marching on Meltdowns every week where we basically find just shit tweets, shit opinions, hot takes, just people having literal meltdowns. So I think this week's is going to be beautiful.
We're going to have some fun with it, aren't we?
We'll have some fun with that.
I can imagine. I've seen But
obviously now the dust has kind of settled. I mean, if you look at the league table and everything now, obviously 5 points clear of Sheffield United at the top, 7 points clear of Burnley. Again, this might be a bit premature to ask, but I'll come to you.
Don't do it.
No. I will come to you, Paul, first.
Yep.
1, do Leeds United win the league from here? And 2, do you think we've at least wrapped up top 2 if you don't think we'll win the league?
I'll be. This is an easy one. We're coming for everything. We're coming for the title. We're coming. We're coming for the highest points total. We're going to score over 100 goals. All of that. No, I think once we get West Brom out of the way, because make no mistake, West Brom's not going to be an easy game.
No.
The big advantage is that game is at home, so that's a real positive. But once we get West Brom out of the way, and I always maintain this, that it was this weekend where once we get this weekend just coming up out of the way, that's quite a tough segment of games that 3 games that we've gotten out of it. The average position of the teams that we're playing for the remainder of the season then is like 16th.
Yeah.
Everybody else is somewhere between 10 and 14, I think it is, for the other teams that are playing. So it's not an easy run in, but statistically, we should be absolutely fine, just as long as, touch wood, we don't get any serious injuries or anything. But yeah, this was a gut check for us this weekend, and we've passed the test pretty well, I would suggest, in my humble opinion. And yeah, it would take a monumental effort for us to fuck this up. Yeah. But only we could, to be fair.
I was just going to say, if one team's capable of it, it's definitely Leeds United. Yeah, but anything to add on that, mate? What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, it's similar to what Paul just said. Surely, even we can't fuck this up. Surely we can't fuck this up. I mean, just to go back to your question as to whether you think will we finish top, or would you be happy for second? I actually think we've finished top, and I think there's potential now for us to even extend our lead at the top by even more. I think Sheffield United, in the lead up to the Leeds game, they've won 4 on the bounce, but there's been some late wins against teams that they should be beaten comfortably. So I think, with regards to the chasing pack, I think it's all right for us to say, well, we win our games, but they've got to win their games as well. And I don't think they're as consistent as, we're going to be. I just think we're going to, I won't say run away with it, but I think we're going to make very, very comfortable work of the rest of the season. So quote me on that, boys. I think it's done and dusted now.
Yeah. Sheffield United have got some difficult, tricky little games. I mean, what they've got.
They've still got to play each other. Each other.
Burnley have got, which is they're playing each other when on the 21st of April. So
Easter Monday, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. We'll all do nicely there. Thank you very much, boys.
Yeah.
But
I had a look at our fixtures, and I think, like you say, Paul, I think the West Brom game's potentially tricky, very hard side to break down and score against. But I think I looked after that. I think probably after that, it's the Middlesbrough game away, I think, that stands out to me. That is a potential banana skin. But, you've got teams like Oxford, you've got teams Portsmouth. I think we've got Stoke to play again. I think there's teams there that we should be beating.
I mean, I think you've both kind of answered the next question that I was going to ask in your answers there. But given how we're playing at the minute, given the form, can we actually see a scenario where Leeds actually lose another game between now and the end of the season?
Yes. Yeah. It's just the law of averages more than anything. I don't think it's a particular team that could potentially do it, but there's every opportunity that could happen. You've got to remember, some of the teams that we're going to be playing are going to be playing for their absolute lives in some cases.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to be mindful. We all remember what happened when we played QPR.
No, yeah.
So
that's soon that as well.
Soon as well. So we can't get big-headed. The team can't get big-headed. The team can't think that it's over. They've just got to be on it at every given opportunity. They just need to be switched on.
I think I even said it last night. You know, there probably is going to be a freak result from now to the end of the season, but the good thing now, especially after getting through, you know, Sunderland and Sheffield United now, is, I don't want to say it like this but we can kind of afford to maybe lose a game now, I think, and still be okay, because I think we've definitely shown in the previous defeats that we've had this season that we are able to bounce back. I think the mentality of the team is a lot stronger this season than what it was last. And yeah, you know, the fact that we've played 34 games now and we've lost 3, you know, it just, you know, as I've said, you know, it shows that I think we'll be okay, and I think we will react well if we do suffer a defeat, which I do think we will. And that's not that it may be negative. I just think, like Paul said, it's the law of averages. It probably is going to happen. But yeah, I am confident of us winning the league. But again, if someone said to me now, you're guaranteed to go up, but it'll be second, I would snap your hand off. I would definitely snap your hand off.
100%.
And Burnley as well, they've got to win 3 games and we lose 3, and that's just not going to happen.
No,
in my opinion. Even if we lose another 1, like, we're not going to lose 3 games from now to the end of the season. It's just not happening.
And like I said, I think for it to happen as well, it's the chasing pack have to put a real run together as well. I think as well, and I don't think they've been consistent enough all season to do that. So we put a lot of emphasis on our results and what we need to do, but you know, they need to be near on perfect as well, and none of the teams have been perfect.
Like I was saying off air, I was saying off air to Paul, I said, Burnley have lost 2 games all season, and yet they're still third and they're still 7 points behind us because they've drawn like 14 games, and they will draw games again. Like, they are going to draw games with how they play and how they're so defensive. And I think they're in the FA Cup this weekend against Preston, and then they've got, I know, but then they've got Cardiff away on Tuesday, which is quite a short and a quick turnaround. So hopefully Cardiff can maybe do us a favour there. But we'll briefly have a look ahead to West Brom before we end. Obviously, Mike will do a more in-depth preview towards the end of the week, but we'll just get Paul's thoughts. I mean, Paul, how do you, just briefly, mate, how do you see the game going? Have you got a score prediction, or just
2-0? I think I think we're going to win 2-0. I don't think it's going to be easy. Tony Mowbray, I don't think they're going to come and sit back. Tony Mowbray doesn't play like that. So I think they're going to come at us a little bit. So I think there might be a bit of bullying going on, but I just think there's an aura about our team at the moment. You know, when they stand together,
a swagger.
Yeah, but it's not a big-headed swagger. It's we're just good, and we're just I trust in my teammates, and we're not going to lose this game. So yeah, I think it's another home win. I don't see us. I don't. It'll be tough, but I don't see us losing the game. I think a 2-0. I'm going to go with Solomon and Pirro to score, and I'm just in a good mood at the moment. I probably look like I'm absolutely stoned out of my mind, but that's because I'm just so tired. But totally worth it. But yeah, I see us winning. I just see us winning. The home form's too good at the moment. It's too good.
Yeah. If you're stoned out of your mind, have you had a night out with Joe Pirro?
The Spliffmeister General we call him, don't we?
The Spliffmeister General.
They gave him the good stuff at half time because
he was quite anonymous in first half, wasn't it, to be fair? But he played really well in the second half.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, again, you've got to look at just quickly. Aronson wasn't having a very good game last night, so he's kind of like the link between midfield and then into Pirro, and that wasn't working. And then the decision making of the wingers also wasn't working. So Pirro's not seeing that that service that he needs to see to be able to score goals. But
yeah,
we can be critical, but whatever we want, I'm happy.
exactly. Yeah, that's all that matters, isn't it? But
Yep.
I think we will leave it there for tonight, guys. Obviously, appreciate everyone that has dropped in and watched this, and that will inevitably give it a watch after the live has ended. A big thank you to Paul for joining us on this one.
Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
Yeah,
at all. Pleasure, guys.
And obviously we'll hope to have him on again at some point in the near future. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, guys, make sure that you're liking, you're commenting and subscribing, and obviously hitting the notification bell. And we'll be back with Meltdowns in a few days, which I'm sure will be a right laugh as always. And then we'll obviously preview the West Brom game. Plenty of content over the next few days. And please enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.